Her name was Melissa. Mine is Ryan. If you saw me 5 years ago, you wouldn't recognize the man telling this story today. Back then, I was broke. Not struggling artist, broke. I mean truly broke. Debt collectors calling. Rent overdue. Car about to be repossessed. And yeah, I drank. At first it was casual. A beer after work. Then whiskey on weekends. Then whiskey on weekdays too. Eventually, alcohol became the only thing that numbed the shame I felt for failing as a husband. Melissa didn't marry that version of me. When we met, I was ambitious. Driven. I had plans, business ideas, investments, dreams bigger than our tiny apartment. But life hit hard. My startup failed. I lost savings. Took low-paying jobs just to survive. Each failure chipped away at my confidence, until drinking filled the cracks. Melissa tried to help at first. She begged me to stop, encouraged therapy, helped with bills, worked extra shifts. But love has a breaking point when it starts carrying all the weight alone. I still remember the night she left. I came home late, drunk. Again. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Her suitcase was gone. On the kitchen table was a note. I can't live like this anymore. I need a future. And you don't want one. No screaming. No final fight. Just exhaustion written in ink. I wanted to hate her. Part of me did. But the louder part knew she wasn't wrong. The divorce was quick. We had nothing to fight over anyway. No house. No assets. Just memories and disappointment. After she left, I spiraled even deeper. For months, I drank harder than ever. Lost my job. Lost friends. Lost weight in the worst way possible. There was one night I don't talk about often. I woke up on my apartment floor, surrounded by empty bottles, with no memory of how I got there. My phone showed 17 missed calls, from my mother. That moment scared me more than any hangover ever had. Because, for the first time, I saw where my life was heading. And I didn't recognize the ending. So I made one decision. Not a big heroic one. Just a quiet, stubborn one. I decided to stop drinking for 30 days. Just 30. The first week felt like torture. Shakes. Sweats. Anger. My body screaming for the poison it got used to. But something strange happened in week 2. My mind got clearer. By week 3, I had energy I hadn't felt in years. So I extended it. Another 30 days. Then another. I replaced the bar with a gym. At first, I could barely lift anything. I was weak, out of shape, embarrassed. But the gym became therapy I could afford. Every rep felt like punishment for the man I used to be, and progress toward the man I wanted to become. Months passed. I got sober, then disciplined, then obsessed with improvement. I started reading again. Business books, finance, entrepreneurship. With a clearer mind, old ideas came back, but sharper. I launched a small logistics consulting service online. Nothing glamorous. Just helping small businesses optimize delivery costs. It started slow, like everything meaningful does. But this time, I didn't quit when it got hard. I worked 14-hour days. Gym at 5 a.m. Clients by 8. Learning at night. Within a year, the business exploded. Referrals turned into contracts. Contracts into corporate deals. I hired staff. Opened an office. Then another. Money followed discipline the way shadows follow light. By year 3, I was a millionaire. By year 4, I didn't even recognize my own life. Luxury condo. Blacked out SUV. Magazine features. Fitness competitions on weekends. The same man who once passed out on a dirty apartment floor now woke up before sunrise by choice. But success didn't erase the past. It just gave it distance. Then one evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me not to. When I answered, I heard a voice I hadn't heard in years. Melissa. She sounded softer. Careful. Nervous. She said she'd been following my story online. Saw the interviews, the business articles, the fitness transformation. Then she said the sentence I think I always knew would come one day. I'm proud of you, and I was wondering if maybe we could talk. Catch up. We met at a restaurant downtown. The irony wasn't lost on me. I used to avoid places like that because I couldn't afford appetizers. She looked beautiful. Older, but calmer. Life had shaped her too. We talked for hours. She admitted her life after divorce wasn't what she expected. Relationships that failed. Financial struggles. Regret. Then she asked if I'd ever consider trying again. There it was. The moment movies romanticize. The ex-wife returning after the comeback. Years ago, I would have said yes instantly. But success changes more than your bank account. It changes your standards, your self-respect, your clarity. I told her something honest. I said I didn't hate her for leaving. In fact, her leaving probably saved my life. Because pain forced me to confront the man I had become. But I also told her this. She fell in love with my potential. And left because I wasn't living up to it. Now I was finally living it, but not for her. For me. I wished her well. And I meant it. We hugged goodbye outside the restaurant. I thought that was the end of the story. It wasn't. Here's the twist nobody expects when they hear this journey. 6 months later, I received an email from an alcohol recovery foundation. They wanted me to speak at an event. Share my transformation story. I agreed. When I arrived at the venue, I saw something that stopped me cold. Melissa was there. Not as a guest. As a volunteer counselor. Turns out, after our divorce, and after seeing what alcohol did to me, she dedicated her career to helping families affected by addiction. She didn't come back because I was rich. She came back because she had healed too. In that moment, all the anger that once existed between us dissolved into something quieter. Respect. We didn't get back together. Life had taken us on different paths for a reason. But we stood on that stage, separately, both telling stories that began with the same broken marriage. And ended with 2 rebuilt lives. So if you're listening to this thinking heartbreak destroyed you, maybe it didn't. Maybe it redirected you. Because sometimes the person who walks out of your life is the same person whose leaving forces you to become who you were meant to be all along. And sometimes, that's the greatest gift disguised as pain. After the event, Melissa and I stood outside the conference hall, neither of us rushing to leave. The night air was quiet, peaceful, so different from the chaos that once defined us. She looked at me and said something I'll never forget. I used to think leaving you was my biggest failure, but now I think it was the hardest right decision I ever made. I nodded, because growth often looks cruel in the moment. We talked, not about getting back together, but about who we had become since the storm. She told me about the families she helped. The wives who stayed too long. The husbands who never changed. The kids caught in between. And then she smiled and said, "You changing gave me hope that people actually can." Before we left, she thanked me, not for loving her, but for surviving what almost destroyed us both. We walked in opposite directions that night. Not as lovers. Not as strangers. But as 2 people who once broke each other. And somehow helped rebuild each other too.